Hey there, folks. Welcome to another edition of the My Business Launch Secrets YouTube channel. Hope you're all doing well. Here we're on day 102, I believe, of the series from one man's journey from trying to get from $0 to $1 million, starting a new online business, doing so from scratch because I still have a day job, kids to feed, and bills to pay. As well as, I'm just doing this on a part-time basis. I might have just said that. I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter. And also, this is just more so my video diary to myself, trying to keep myself a little bit accountable to making at least baby steps each and every day and along this journey, trying to either take some action on a day-to-day basis in the business, or at least to, spend some time thinking about things, spend some time researching, doing some studying as necessary to help me plot out the next plan of this overall saga. So more or less, these videos are just more kind of for my own utility, maybe for chuckling at myself down the road in terms of all the stupid things I did and the stupid things I worried about. So today we're at the end of another weekend and had a good day with the family today. Tried to get a little work done. Just had to take care of some basic housekeeping stuff, pay the bills and all that fun stuff. Hung up some curtains here in my basement studio now, I guess, office thing. Hung up some curtains, so if I'm ever at the point of recording these things during the daytime, which usually I'm not, because like past midnight right now, in any case, I have the curtains to block out the sun so I can manage the overall light in the wonderful picture that you're looking at right now. I did decide to make a little bit of an upgrade on my camera. See, I'm using an old Logitech webcam that I bought, I don't even know how long ago, quite a while ago. I don't even remember why I bought it exactly. I guess, did I have a laptop that didn't have a webcam? I mean, that would have been like ancient history, but maybe I had an old laptop. The quality was just not very good on the laptop camera, which, I mean, they never are even today. And so I bought a slightly upgraded version of a webcam and was using that for some purposes. I don't, again, really know. I used to record myself just playing music just for the fun of it. But I don't know why I would have bought a webcam just to do that, but I don't know. Anyway, this is the one I had, and aside from just using the good old iPhone here, these are the two best options. I mean, actually, frankly, the iPhone would be a better option from a video perspective, but I don't know, then I would have to actually physically mount this camera and position it every time versus just sticking this old webcam up on a mounting stand and call it good, right? And I did decide, though, to make an upgrade to the camera, as I mentioned, not going full like DSLR, like all these, YouTube pros, whatever. Not about to spend $600 or $1,000 on some, fancy Sony or Canon, whatever mirrorless thing, because that would just frankly be dumb of me to do, considering at this moment in time, none of these videos are making me any money, obviously, and it'll probably be a while before I'm at that point anyway. So maybe at some point when I'm actually making money in videos that I'm producing, then I can afford, and it would make sense for me to go ahead and make some upgrades. In the meantime, just figured I would upgrade to a better webcam, because I have noticed, even though I thought I was recording in HD or whatever, which supposedly this camera can do, the quality of my images are just still nowhere near. I mean, it's fine, obviously, for most things, but it's just not clarity that you expect to have in an HD image. And maybe I'm just not doing something right, but I've played with the camera settings and nothing I can do seems to fix it. So I think it's just the fact of how it's an older camera and how the optics are built in it or something. I don't know. So anyway, dropped $150 on just getting a new, 1080p webcam used by, I think the Elgato brand, the same guys who build these stream decks and sell a lot of stuff to streamers. So this is one of their primary products in terms of the webcam side of their business. And anyway, the reviews were good, and it was, reasonable price point, again, compared to a $1,000 DSLR camera. So went ahead and ordered that on the old Amazon. So here in a few days, maybe we'll see a slight upgrade in the image quality. We'll see how that works out. In terms of the business itself, still not making a ton of progress, just because I'm, again, kind of continuing to get wrapped up in my head in terms of what specifically I should be focused on. And again, the whole debate of what things do I think have a good marketability perspective, and in terms of how I can productize something, or make a product or service that people would be interested in, to, matching that with my own personal interests and personal passions and things that really would energize me and motivate me on a daily basis to be making content just in general. I mean, videos would be a predominant part of it, but making content in general, because again, I'm trying to do something that's a little bit more organically driven. I don't want to start dropping, thousands of bucks on paid ads when I still have a long way to go, I think, before I feel confident in the product that I would be potentially putting ads out for at some point in the future. So that's my overall strategy in terms of how to get the word out there. Obviously, it's going to take a longer time period to do that, but again, in my view, that's okay. That's fine. So I mentioned in yesterday's video, I think, about a video I watched from CoffeeZilla talking to a former copywriter for a big direct response marketing company, Agora Publishing or Agora Media or something. And they make a bunch of really shitty products for old people that are just afraid of the world and are willing to buy anything if you tell them that it might help solve their problems, right? And again, so certainly a lot of those things are just very kind of scammy types of things. And this dude that I watched the video from yesterday, talked about he had been in that for several years and just obviously grew tired of it. So today, of course, YouTube recommends that I watch another video by CoffeeZilla with him talking to another copywriter. Similar kind of story, slightly different background situation, but this gentleman whose name is, Michel 14 maybe, I think he's Canadian, was one who, again, his background is very much direct response marketing and was around in the early days of online kind of direct response marketing, like the early 2000s timeframe. And I think it was relatively popular back in those days. This was like, of course, pre-ClickFunnels and pre-funnel scripts and a lot of the tools and capabilities people have today to do copywriting on their own. So I think he was probably a freelancer type that a lot of the Russell Brunsons of the world would go to help them write their copy, their sales letter for whatever product. And I guess his claim to fame is he wrote a big long form sales letter for Traffic Secrets, which was a I think an online course unrelated to Russell Brunson's Traffic Secrets book, because Traffic Secrets originated by a different guy. I think his name is John Reese. Russell Brunson eventually bought all the rights to that at some point along the line, and then he formed this whole book around it, etc. So anyway, this gentleman, Michel, had written the long form sales letter for that course, and it was like the first course in internet history to generate $1 million in a day, I think it was, or something. And so he got a lot of street cred from his ability to generate that sales copy. So anyway, obviously he was in that deep in that community for several years, but again, similar to the qualms that the other guy had that I talked about yesterday, he just came to found that a lot of the products that people were asking him to write sales copy for were just like total garbage. And, he ultimately just kind of started turning people away for products that he thought were pretty scammy, and even tells a story about his wife. And I'll play a clip here. So I'm using my old OBS Studio, which, by the way, I think I figured out the audio settings, so I should be able to capture things from my MacBook here. But in any case, a variety of circumstances. I think the clip I'll show you, he talks about a couple of these things in terms of what sort of changed his point of view and ultimately led him to really completely get out of doing work for that slice of the marketing community, and now, or since then, and today still does marketing related work. Seems to be pretty much focused on like SEO strategies, and I think working more for big businesses selling actual products and services, not just online course type of stuff. So if I can successfully switch over here, I think that worked. So now I think you'll be able to hear. I'll just play a short clip here of him chatting about, again, some of his rationale for things he was seeing that really turned him off overall, and then I'll have some thoughts here to share, I guess.
My gosh, and I think that kind of industry is it's sickening, and the reason I think it's sickening is because.
Let me slow that down real quick.
Because when I hear the stories of people falling for kind of these products and services, products generally, that are promising them, the world, it's fine. If you have a really good product that's valuable and it's actually teaching skills, how to, for example, how to create an actual business, how to do market research, and how to, hire staff, how to manage staff, how to grow your business that way, the accounting, the financing side of stuff, right? Fine. But when you're starting to, show, here's how to make $1 million, and here's my Lamborghinis in the background, and here's my jet plane. So now you're no longer selling skills. You're no longer selling information. You're selling dreams and hopes, and you're preying on people who are broke and sick, and this is just crazy.
Well, here's the sad part. I mean, I think this, but some of the things that are the most disgusting, or they promise, we'll cure your cancer, we'll cure your, financial cancer, whatever, like we'll make you $1 million. Those are the things that sell the best, unfortunately. It's a lot of times the bigger claim.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk about this for a minute because, again, I think it kind of gets to some of the challenges I have in my own mind in terms of thinking through what exactly I want to do, and then ultimately how I want to do what I want to do. It talks about, you see a lot more of the online marketing stuff being more about selling kind of the dream lifestyle that somebody wants, ignoring really what the product is that you're trying to sell to this person. Ultimately, you sell the dream. They pay you the money because they think by paying you the money for the course, they're going to get that dream outcome, right? Without really knowing anything about what the course is or what you're even offering them. And again, this gentleman in particular says that's something that really turned him off from, again, how a lot of the sales copy was being done. I mean, it is still being done today, particularly for online marketing. So the interesting kind of component to that is selling the dream outcome is like the number one tactic that I've been hearing from the Russell Brunsons and even Alex Hormozzi's and other, a few other guys that I've really been listening to and studying over the past, year and a half, because at the core of it, that's like the basis of all sales, whether it's online marketing for some stupid, guru course, or whether it's, your car dealership down the street selling, new cars. They, no sales guy is naturally going to lead with, hey, let me tell you about all the, 50 different accessories that come with this model of car. They, want to understand, what are the motivations you have for even being interested in looking at cars, so they understand kind of what's your mindset coming into this. And then they just sell you on, again, what is the dream outcome, which could mean, hey, right now you've got a real clunker of a car, you got to take it into the shop every month. Well, hey, if you roll off the lot with one of these brand new cars, like all that goes away. This thing is super reliable. We've got all these warranties to back it up. You're never going to have to deal with any of that anymore. And so they're selling the outcome of having the car. They're not selling the car itself per se. So the fact that this guy, seems to be really turned off by that, I'm not sure what to think of that, because again, yes, on one hand, I understand where he's coming from, like for somebody that's one of these guru types that's selling a really shit product and them not even really talking about it. They're just talking only about the dream outcome. And then, if you're sort of lured into that because of whatever your circumstances are and you fork over the $2,000, whatever it is for the course, then you're kind of getting the raw end of the deal there, because obviously once you go through that course, it's not going to give you the dream outcome you were looking for, because it's just not that good. But on the other hand, like the people that are making those products are just, again, using very common sales tactics that are used anywhere. Now, you could argue you just don't like those sales tactics, and you could argue that you would rather just go into a car dealership and have them show you a spec sheet of all the details of their new engine model, and that's all you need to decide whether or not you want to buy that car. But again, the reality is the psychology of sales is a real thing in terms of, the vast majority of people buy things based on emotion, not based on the logical, rational decision-making process. That's sure, some people are like that. I mean, myself, I would say I'm mostly a rational, research-driven type buyer, but there have been times, certainly, that I've been sort of lured into buying something more on emotion or whatever the case is, and then ultimately knowing that I've probably way overpaid for whatever it was, or the thing that I got really didn't meet the expectations that I was kind of sold in the first place, et cetera, et cetera. But, I just kind of accept that. Like, that was my decision to make that purchase, and if I did it on rash, not thoroughly thought through decision-making process, like that's on me, at least in my view. Now, again, they point out that, like, sure, if you're trying to sell like some cancer curing supplement or something, and you're going after your target market is people that have cancer and are being told that they're going to die in 3 months, like, yeah, that's pretty sleazy in terms of your little supplement's not going to cure cancer, obviously. But then the fact that, again, you're selling people who are like literally on their deathbed and they're going to be paying you thousands of bucks to get these magic pills from Thailand or whatever. I mean, that is, pretty shitty overall. But again, that's not something unique to the online marketing space either. I mean, again, before the internet existed, there was always people selling snake oil. That's why they're called snake oil salesmen. Right? I mean, people since the dawn of human commerce on the planet Earth, there was always people going around selling shit products. And again, not talking about the product, just selling what is the outcome that person wants. Again, if you want to be disgusted by that, sure, that's fine. Don't participate in that part of the business, obviously. And I guess that's what this guy had been involved with, and he maybe hadn't thought about it much initially, and he came to some realization that, oh yeah, this is actually not great. I don't want to do this. Okay, fine. Again, you got like CoffeeZilla here just like claiming that the reality of these people existing, snake oil salesmen existing, thereby negates all online marketing as being valuable at all, which is not even what this guy he's interviewing says. I mean, he even says, he fully supports if somebody really has a valuable course or service that is legitimately teaching people, real skills or real tactics to use in their business that have been proven, that they have, real testimonials of how it's impacted. Like, he's all for, again, using these strategies, sell their product. I mean, he kind of leans more towards the side of, hey, if your product's so great, you shouldn't need a lot of, heavy upfront marketing to lure people in, because you should just be getting good word of mouth by the product being so great on its own. And that is true. I mean, Alex Hormozi even does talk about that the best marketing is basically just word of mouth, and that if you can get to that point without having to do any advertising, then, I mean, you've sort of won the game in a sense. But, getting to that point obviously takes time. And so, again, you're still going to have to have something on the front end of that process. Even if you have an amazing product, you still got to have some way to get people that don't know anything about you willing to part with some of their cash to get the product or service that you're offering. So, I mean, I think I understand CoffeeZilla's point of view. Again, he's doing the right thing in terms of he's providing an extreme polar point of view in this whole argument of is online marketing a scam, are gurus a scam, is masterminds a scam, etc. And I mean, as he points out in this interview, yes, some of these mastermind groups and whatever costs, tens of thousands of dollars a year. I mean, Russell Brunson's charging like $100,000 or $250,000 to get into some of his groups or whatever. And I recognize to some people spending that kind of money for any kind of just group get together type of thing, like, just seems totally like crazy. I mean, it sounds crazy to me as well. And I don't know if I would ever fork out $250,000 just to join some group, and that's $250,000 a year. So it's not just like a one-time fee thing. I'm not sure I would ever get there, but on the flip side, I think it is relevant to point out that a lot of times the best way to learn is to learn directly from others who are maybe a step or two ahead of you in whatever you're trying to get towards. And for some people, just reading books just isn't going to cut it. And again, I think this is again what like CoffeeZilla's point of view is on a lot of these things is that, well, somebody selling like personal development coaching or whatever for thousands of bucks a month. All you got to do is go to the library, pick up, the top 5 personal development books, and every tip and trick that any coach is going to tell you is in those books. And he's not wrong. That is accurate. But again, it's just fundamentally different, sitting, reading a book about something as opposed to having somebody maybe work with you one-on-one or even in a small group kind of setting where you're able to, I mean, again, assuming the person that's leading that is a real expert, but let's just make that assumption going in. That person's a real expert in whatever the topic of, just say pick one book. But the fact they are able there to like answer questions in real time, to provide context and with respect to what you're specifically going through. Obviously, a book is written for a general audience. Understanding how you apply the principles of a book to your specific life, to your specific business, to your specific career, or whatever the thing is, like that is what is the hardest thing about just trying to learn anything from a given book. Again, some people are able to do that, no problem, and that's great. More power to them. That's not everybody, though. And I don't see, again, a problem with paying somebody to get that more kind of customized experience for what your specific needs are. And even, again, for guys and gals out there that are paying, $100,000 a year or $200,000 a year to be a part of some group. I mean, if you're learning from like literal billionaires, or at least, people that are much more wealthy than you are, I mean, that is like, frankly, kind of invaluable. If you're able to learn something that would take you from earning $1 million a year to $10 million a year, is that worth $250,000? Well, I kind of am a math genius. I'm not a math genius, but I know math, and I would say that's a pretty good investment. So again, I think the whole CoffeeZilla channel is really coming from is the fact that, a lot of these things that are out there certainly are preying on people that do not have money. And they talked about it in this interview of, this guy, being at some of these events and conferences and like seeing people max out their credit cards to get these courses or programs or whatever, and, mortgaging their house to get the money to do this. Yeah, that's a shitty deal, and nobody should be doing that. But again, to just paint a broad brush to say, anybody and everybody that's doing that type of thing, regardless of who their actual target market is, they're all bad. Like that's not great either. So I would say let's distinguish between, again, the people that are kind of specifically preying on the folks that don't have as good an understanding of what they really need in life and just are wasting their money because they're never going to get any real value out of these things. Sure, that's in one bucket, but there's a whole other huge bucket of people, again, that I think are providing real value, and the people that they are most interested in paying for their courses are people that do have the means to pay for them and are just, looking, again, to level up in whatever they're doing. I mean, I was thinking about like Alex Hormozi. Civilly, I mean, his big main business that he made a lot of his money on was his gym launch, which was a business designed to help, or is, I mean, it still exists, a business designed to help gym owners to maximize the amount of profit that they can get out of their individual, independent gym. Be sure they have their memberships up to the maximum level that they can accommodate in their own facilities, et cetera, et cetera. And he was charging a very large amount of money. I mean, at the time, listen to some of his older podcasts. I don't know, it was something like $14,000 or something was the cheapest package or whatever that they had for a small gym owner. And I mean, he would admit a lot of the gym owners that would come to him were people that were only making like, say, 30 or 40 grand, maybe even less, like take-home pay from their business, and they were struggling to just keep it afloat. So you could argue, well, should they be paying Alex Hormozi gym launch, 14, 15, 20 grand when they only got, 30 grand that they're living off of for a year? I mean, on the face of that, you'd say, oh no, they should be saving every penny they got. But the flip side of that is if they make that investment, and if Alex's product really does what it says it's going to do, then, which in his example, I mean, he had done it like hundreds of times before he ever really started getting into those price points. And so he had tons of case studies where he had, again, done it himself, multiple different types of gyms, multiple geographic locations all over the country. So obviously he was very confident in what he could provide. And I'm sure there was customers that didn't work out for, but on the whole, I'm sure he was able to help out the vast majority of the people that were paying that. So if you took somebody that was making only $30,000, they chose to invest this 14 grand into this course, or I mean, it's not a course, it's like a whole program, and they do all the market. It's like a done for you kind of marketing plan type of deal. And by making that investment, you were able to go from $30,000 a year to $100,000 a year as a gym owner. I mean, obviously that's worth it, right? If you have to pay 20 grand, but you increase your profitability by 60 grand, well, I mean, that's a good trade to make. So again, I think there's all those kind of nuances to some of these things, which again, it's a YouTube channel. They got to he's got to get clicks, and he's got to, be polarizing to get more people attracted to him. I get that. I'm not really faulting him, and I like his videos. I like to watch. It's entertaining and illuminating at the same time. And again, back to my business, just further pushes me to be sure that the business that I'm going to do is something that is really, truly providing real value to the people that I would be looking to actually, make some money off of, right? And again, that's where I'm still trying to find that piece that, matches that with, again, what my personal passions are and things that I could really stick with for the long term, right? So anyway, I've been a little bit long here today, so wrap it up. Hope you're all doing well. Keep on kicking ass, taking names, and I'll see you next time. Peace.